Now that we've cleaned up the skin, we've cleaned up some of those small blemishes, let's work on a couple of different areas in the photograph. In particular, I'm noticing that there's some darkness around the eyes a little bit. I'm going to brighten that up. Now, there are a number of different ways that we can do this. I want to show you one technique here that I think will be pretty helpful. Now, because retouching takes a lot of time, we need to learn certain shortcuts. So let's create a new layer by way of shortcut. Shift-Command-N on a Mac, Shift-Control-N on a PC. We'll name this Cleanup 2. Next, we're going to reach for the Clone Stamp tool. Now, the Clone Stamp tool gets a bad rap, but you can use it in some pretty interesting ways. Let's press S to select the Clone Stamp tool. Again, that shortcut key is S for Stamp. Next, what we're going to do is change the blend mode for this tool. You can see I have my blending modes up here. Now, I could, of course, select it from this pull-down menu, and I want to select Lighten. Or, if I want to speed up my overall retouching, what I'm going to do is on a Mac, press Shift-Option-G. On a PC, that's Shift-Alt-G. And it's that G, it's that third letter in Lighten. Now, that's kind of a tricky shortcut to remember, yet it's worthwhile to start to take note of those because, again, it can speed up your overall workflow. Next, we need to lower the opacity of this tool, right? We never want to do this at 100%, so I'm going to press 2 to take it to 20%, or 2.5 to go to 25%. So now I've selected that tool, I've modified how I'm going to use it, and I've done that really quickly. I'm also making sure that Sample All Layers is turned on. Now, I don't need to be zoomed into 100% as I do this work, but I might want to zoom in a little bit on the photograph. So I'm zooming in a little bit here so I can start to do some work on the image. Next, I'm going to go ahead and hold down the Option key on a Mac, Alt key on a PC, sample an area that I think is nice. I'll go ahead and paint across an area that I want to brighten up. So here's my before and after. Okay, well, that's pretty subtle. Let's keep going. And one of the things that we're doing here is really we're dodging with this tool. And again, here's our before and after. It's subtle, yet significant. And we can start to make our way around this image. And again, just sampling different areas. And that one was a little bit too strong, so I'll press Command-Z on a Mac, Control-Z on a PC. And I'm going to go ahead and hold down the Option key on a Mac, Alt key on a PC, sample a nice bright area around, and then make my way underneath the eye here, just slowly going back and forth, working out these shadows a bit. Here's my before, and here's my after. It's subtle, yet it's significant. Now, is this the best tool? Is this the only tool? No, not at all. There are a ton of tools that we can use for burning and dodging, in this case dodging, but here it works pretty well. Let's go ahead and do some work on the other eye. So again, I'll hold down the Option key on a Mac, Alt key on a PC. And the nice thing about using this particular technique is it's bringing pixels into the image. So it's not just brightening or darkening, but it's using some kind of a texture. It's a nice way to be able to maintain texture. And as we're starting out, that will be kind of nice for us to have a little bit of texture so we don't lose it completely. Again, here's our before and then after. Okay, great. Well, again, that's not the only way to do this. But now that we've started to work on the overall tone a bit, we could then apply some different adjustments on top of that. So I'm going to just go ahead and finish this off actually before I get to my different adjustments here and just brighten this area up a bit. Just work on that. The trick, of course, with this is that we have to sample an area. We have to be using something in the image, and that doesn't always work, but sometimes it works pretty well. Again, here's our before and after. The next thing that I'm going to do is do a little bit of cloning or healing on top of this. Before I do that, though, I want to look at my before and after and say, have I gone too far? Have I brightened this up too much? Well, perhaps. So the nice thing about using layers is I can lower the opacity there. So I have a little bit of the shape left. I don't want to flatten out the face completely and lose all shape. And so this way, it's kind of blending that back. Then I'll create a new layer. Shift-Command-N on a PC, Shift-Control-N on a Mac, and I'll call this Cleanup 3. Now, do you always need to clean up layers? Could you flatten these down? Well, yeah, of course you could flatten them down. Yet for demonstration purposes, I'm going to keep all these layers so that I can show you the progress as we move along. All right, well, let's go ahead and select another tool like the healing brush. And now that the tone is a little bit more even here, I can use a healing brush, sampling all layers, make sure that's turned on. And you know, it's almost always that we'll be using the sample all layers. And I'll just make my way through underneath the eyes here. And I'm just going to try to clean those up a bit. And a lot of times what this will do is just even out some of the tones that we have there. The nice thing about doing it this way is because we worked on the different tones, we now are able to add this on top. It brings a little bit of texture back. So here's our overall before and then after working on those areas. Now let's move up and down and kind of see if there's any other areas that could benefit from this type of a technique. One area that I'm noticing is down here underneath the chin. It could use a little bit of brightening. I'm also noticing that the lipstick could use a little bit of shaping. So let's go ahead and continue to work on this photograph in the next movie.